All right, so let's jump right into the sync settings for Jobber and QuickBooks. When you first log into Jobber, your screen looks something similar to this if you are on the homepage. If you already have Jobber and QuickBooks Sync, there's likely a small icon up here. Mine has an alert with 18 alerts with a circle icon exclamation. A few months ago, this used to be the QuickBooks logo. I kind of wish they would bring that back, but this is going to be the sync setting page. So if you already have them synced together, you can click on this button to navigate to your sync errors and your sync settings. If you do not already have QuickBooks logged or synced to Jobber, what we are going to look for is this app section behind my bubble down here on the bottom left, and I'm going to take you there right now. All right, so we are in the app section of Jobber. You're going to go to the search bar to look for QuickBooks Online, and this should be the one that pops up. It says QuickBooks Online, and if you open this up, you're going to see the QuickBooks Online integration. So this, if you haven't connected them before, it should prompt you to connect the app first. Since this software already has them synced together, I can go here to manage the app. So again, you can choose the little bubble icon in the up right to go manage app, or you can come down to your app button on the bottom left of the menu bar to find QuickBooks to manage it here. But regardless, we are going to go into Manage App to look at our sync settings and our sync errors. So go ahead and select on this green button. All right, when you open up this green button, it's going to open up a new tab for you. If you have QuickBooks Sync, it's going to tell you about your sync activity, whether there are warnings, errors, or if things synced well and they are good to go. We are also going to first dive into the sync settings, and then I'm going to talk a little bit about these errors that you are likely to see with common sync errors. So go ahead and navigate over to sync settings. When you are inside of sync settings, there are going to be two tabs here, one for sync settings, one for chart of accounts, but they're very important tabs that we are going to cover. Sync settings is going to prompt you for when should Jobber send information over to QuickBooks. This is generally how I have most of my clients set up. I don't think this is the only way to do it, but I'm going to explain why I have most of my clients set up this way. So first, it wants to know when it should sync new clients over from Jobber to QuickBooks. In my opinion, I don't think that there's a huge difference for if you choose to sync clients after they appear on an invoice, payment, or timesheet, or when they are created. I really don't think that this has much of a difference. It's really not going to affect accounts receivable if they don't have an invoice. There's just not a lot of variation here. Second thing, when should it sync over products and services? Should it sync over after they appear on an invoice or when they are created? Again, I really don't have a strong preference for when products and services are synced over. I do have it for when they are created in case we need to maybe we have a product created in Jobber, but we're sending out an invoice in QuickBooks for whatever reason. They are already in line with each other, same dollar amount, taxable or non-taxable. That communication between the software is already set. But if you choose to have it after they appear on an invoice, I'm okay with that. Again, not a huge difference. One thing I do think I have a strong preference for is going to be the bottom three. So for invoices, I have this synced over after they are marked as sent. The reason why is because when invoices are created in Jobber, it's usually or a lot of times it's after a quote has already been created. Sometimes you receive a payment on a quote, and I have a whole video on unapplied cash payment income when you're receiving payments on quotes, but the invoice is not in QuickBooks yet. But the reason why I don't want it to sync over when invoices are created is because this could throw off accounts receivable if we don't have a true invoice sent out. And the whole reason for the sync between Jobber and QuickBooks that I really like is going to be because of the accounts receivable tracking. We can track how long it's taking you to collect on these receivables. You're going to have an accurate balance sheet. And then we're really going to be able to trace down every single invoice and every single payment, when they made it, when it cleared the bank, because a lot of times when we're marking invoices paid at Jobber, we don't have that date set correctly. If you have questions on this, feel free to reach out to me. I'm happy to explain more, but I do prefer invoices to be sent over to QuickBooks after they are finalized, just so that they're not in this processing holding area in Jobber and throwing off the accounts receivable in QuickBooks. All right, for payments, refunds, tips, and Jobber payouts, this needs to be synced over when they are collected. If we have invoices sync over and we do not have payments syncing over, your accounts receivable is going to be so far off, such a high balance, because we're not paying down those invoices with these payments. It's going to be a lot more confusing, especially when you're receiving Jobber payments where the fee is already taken out, and likely you're receiving technically more than the invoice cost because Jobber holds their small portion of the processing fee. Timesheets I do not have synced over to QuickBooks. Part of this is because I generally do not suggest people to use QuickBooks for running their payroll. I like Gusto a lot better for payroll, so we don't usually sync timesheets on over to QuickBooks. All right, so one of this button I do want to highlight at the bottom here. Also, if you make changes during this, make sure you choose update settings. You can't just leave the screen. You do need to update settings. One of the options is to sync older items to QuickBooks. When is a good situation that you would use this? One, if you're really close to the start of your business and you're just now syncing QuickBooks up, go ahead and sync the older items to QuickBooks to start from the very beginning to have a clean set of accounting books. If you have been working maybe in a different software other than Jobber but still using QuickBooks, I would sync Jobber information for when the date you started using Jobber. If you implement it in June of 1 year, go ahead and sync older items to QuickBooks to cover those June payments. And then finally, if you've used Jobber and QuickBooks for a long period of time, but you've never really synced them together and now you're wanting to get your books in order, of course, follow your bookkeeper's advice. My suggestion would be to start in the year that you are starting a clean set of books. So we're a good chunk of the way into 2025 right now. So I would advise my clients who are coming to me, who are wanting to start their books fresh and have accurate set of books, that we start January 1st, 2025, and that we're not spending all of our time for 2023, 2024, and so forth. Just start. The final tab that I do want to cover is going to be this chart of accounts tab. So go ahead, select this tab, and meet me on over there in a second. All right, we are in the chart of account setting. This is possibly the most important information that we have to do when we are syncing the two software together. And this is where I could see a lot of headache and a lot of cleanup happen to some current clients of mine when they first onboarded with me, that I'm sure they are not the only people experiencing this issue. So what we need to tell Jobber here is where to send information inside of QuickBooks. It can send it over to QuickBooks just fine. It just needs to know what account to line it up with. So for starters, we have a Jobber payments payout reconciliation. What this means is what bank account is your Jobber payments coming to when Jobber does a payout. This has to be the main checking account that you're receiving Jobber payments to. And if you ever change bank accounts in your business lifetime, this has to be updated immediately. You do not want the headache of all of these payout reconciliations going to the old bank account and having to manually fix that to the new bank account. So again, there's a drop-down menu over here. Feel free to choose the right bank account that it's going to. For Jobber payment fees, this is going to be what expense line item you have in QuickBooks that is going to be for the Jobber merchant fees. I kind of talk about this in a few other videos where we really need to record the full amount of income received in Jobber onto our P&L, not just the payout portion that you receive. So if you have an invoice for $100 and you're receiving $95 from Jobber, we still need to record that full $100 amount onto our income section in that $5 expense into our merchant account fees or Jobber payment fees. So if you already have an account listed such as merchant account fees, that's a fine account to use it to. I see Jobber payment fees as a very popular one. Again, this is going to be an expense line item onto your profit and loss in QuickBooks that just shows, okay, what portion did Jobber keep when they deposited the money into your account. And final one is tips that I see. So depending on how your business handles tips, this could really depend on what account this is for. Possibly you collect tips and pay them out by the pay period to the prospective employee. That's where we would use undistributed tips. You can also have a tip income line item account if maybe you're the sole owner or you don't pay out your tips to your employees. If you collect just tips into the income section and they're not on the employee's wages, then that would be a tip income account. Again, if you make any changes here, go ahead and update settings. That covers it for the basics of Jobber and QuickBooks Sync. I'm actually going to split this into a two-part video. So what I'm going to cover next is going to be the common sync issues that we are going to cover on that first page. So if you remember the highlighted yellow and red items, back over onto our QuickBooks integration screen, I'm going to record another video just so this one isn't too long, and we're going to cover how to fix those issues.